for being late. I misjudged the travel time tonight. Welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of September 20th, 2021 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this meeting has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board, electronic message board, WCTV, and on the Township website. Please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at mayor and council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. Salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Cassio.
Here.
Councilman DeSeta.
Here.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Here.
Councilman Sears.
Here.
Council President Feeney.
Here. Let the record reflect also in attendance Mayor Calamari, Township Administrator Tovo, Township Attorney Power, and Township Clerk Kukowski. Public service announcement, September 20th, 2021. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center promotes back-to-school vax for children 12 and over. Please visit our website for further information and walk-in locations. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center has started offering third dose boosters of the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines to those who are immunocompromised in accordance with the CDC regulations. Please visit our website for further information. On Wednesday, September 29th, 2021, a FEMA disaster assistance team will be at the municipal building in Washington Township from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. to assist with disaster survivors. The disaster assistance crew will provide additional assistance in assessing and applying for disaster assistance. Help us get the Easy Ride grant, state program for a bike route. Please visit our website and take the survey. Tom, is the website on our?
Yes.
Okay, it's up on our town page. The 12th Annual Family Fall Festival will be held on Saturday, October 2nd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Memorial Field, rain or shine. Please visit our website for all information, including volunteer and sponsor opportunities. Paper shredding and e-recycling event will be held on Saturday, October 9th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Bethany Community Center. Bring your papers, documents to be shredded. No plastic bags, books, binder clips, or 3-ring binders. Electronics include VHS, DVD players, computers, printers, scanners, monitors, and televisions. General election 2021. There are 3 ways to vote in the general election. Please visit our website for all the details. Senior exercise class is back. Visit the online calendar for all dates and times. The senior bus is once again available for residents to be dropped off at ShopRite on Mondays. We will begin picking up residents at 10 a.m. for 11 a.m. drop off at the store. Anyone needing a ride should call the DPW office, 201-664-3268. Please note the drop box outside of Town Hall is a permanent structure for all incoming mail, tax payments, fees, and correspondence. No cash should be placed in the drop box. All payments must be in a sealed envelope and addressed to the proper department. Approval of minutes, May 3rd, 2021, public meeting, conference meeting. I'll make a motion. May I have a second, please?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Tom, the next one. Okay. February 3rd, 2020. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Tom, I'll tell you when, okay?
Sure.
February 18th.
I'll just follow the list right
Okay.
here.
February 18th, 2020, closed session. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
January, can I just do all of them? Can I just do all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
January 19th, 2021, closed session. February 16th, 2021, closed session. Yeah. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Tom, you're in. It looks like Steve and, okay. April 5th, 2021, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Abstain.
Aye. Okay, next to is everybody. April 26, 2021, closed session. June 9th, 2021, closed session. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, mayor appointments.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. This evening, please be advised that I am appointing E. Carter Corriston Jr. Esquire as alternate municipal prosecutor for the unexpired term ending December 31st, 2021.
Anybody have any comments or discussion? Okay, moving on to the report of the mayor. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. I've added a couple of new categories to my monthly reports. The first one, unfortunately, is weather events. Tropical Storm Ida dumped unprecedented rain in the area during her stay with us. The following day, I toured the town with Chief Skinner. We saw many residents that usually don't flood have damage, and those that do occasionally flood were the worst they've ever been. Washington School had about 5 feet of water in their basement that ruined the electrical systems and the boiler for the entire building. The Bethany Community Center had damage to many of their floors on the ground level. The storm also deposited a lot of debris into Schlegel Lake. Councilman Sears and I toured the lake along with the president of the Lake Association and a representative of Boswell. We will assist the association where possible in applying for FEMA money to assist them with the cleanup. I cannot thank all of our emergency services enough, including the DPW staff and the Office of Emergency Management, for their responses to all of these recent weather events. Their dedication to our town and its residents is second to none. It shows what can be accomplished when the departments have the proper staffing and equipment to do their jobs. DPW news. Monthly household debris was picked up last week, the week of September 13th. The next and final pickup for this year is the week starting October 4th. The picnic tables mentioned in my last report that were paid for via a Clean Communities grant have been placed at the town fields and playgrounds. Some dead and dangerous trees have been removed from Memorial Field. New restroom doors have been installed at the field house at Clark Field. The football fields are now being lined and painted on a weekly basis. Sewers were inspected and jetted as needed. Stop lines, crosswalks, and curbs were painted for the start of the new school year. The staff assisted with our Movie at Memorial Night event on August 6th and our concert on August 13th. Our new lightning detection system base unit has been installed and synced with the remote units at the field. Please keep in mind that these systems are not foolproof. When possible, please use an app in conjunction with the units at the fields and immediately leave the field when either of them sounds a warning. The soil remediation project at the DPW site is scheduled to start the week of October 4th. Public affairs news. Our final movie at Memorial Night took place on October 27th. Mother Nature thought she would try and cancel the event by raining earlier in the day, but that did not stop us. The decision was promptly made to move the event to the Township Theater. I want to thank Public Affairs Director Daisy Velez and the owners of the theater for adapting to the weather conditions and coming up with a plan B, so we did not have to cancel the event and disappoint many children. Our single summer concert this year did take place on Friday, August 13th, with the always popular B Street Band. All who attended were treated to a great evening of music and community. We thank our corporate sponsor, Valley Bank, for enabling us to hold the event without having to spend additional money from our trust fund, therefore extending its life while many businesses are still recovering from the COVID crisis. Our solemn 9/11 ceremony was well attended. It is hard to believe that horrific event took place 20 years ago. We thank all who participated in the event, too many to mention here. Town Day is scheduled for October 2nd. As always, many fun events are being planned for people of all ages. We hope to see you there. Many activities are being planned for Halloween, like the home decorating contest and the pumpkin carving contest. More information will be available in next month's report. I want to again publicly thank the volunteers on all the committees who work together to make these events happen for the residents to enjoy. Library news. The library will not be providing us with their updates for the next few months as our library director is on maternity leave. We wish her and her family well during this exciting time for their family. Please check their website regularly for updates. Fire department news. The department hosted their annual car and motorcycle show. I want to thank all the members of the department who worked so hard year after year to make this event happen. It was a picture-perfect weather day. It was great to see many repeat vehicles as well as new ones turn out for the event. I was proud to sponsor a trophy, and I awarded it to a motorcycle brought to the event by the father of Sergeant Michael Goebel. He has customized the bike with many memories of his son. It is truly a work of art dedicated to his son, who made the ultimate sacrifice in giving his life for his country. Police news. On Saturday, September 18th, at approximately 2:30 a.m., officers were responding to a report of a suspicious persons in the area of West Place. The officers observed a silver-colored Jeep Wrangler leaving the area with two occupants that matched the description of the reported suspicious persons. Officers turned their patrol vehicles to check the Jeep as it traveled west on Manhattan Avenue. The driver and passenger of the vehicle suddenly jumped out of the Jeep and ran while the vehicle was still in motion and heading toward Pascack Road. The Jeep continued moving until it struck a utility pole on the side of the road. Officers immediately ran after the driver and passenger. The driver was apprehended while hiding in a garbage can on Wilson Ave. The passenger was apprehended in a wooded area at the south end of Hudson Ave. The passenger suffered an arm injury from the fall when he jumped out of the moving vehicle. He was transported to Newbridge Medical Center for treatment. The vehicle was identified as stolen from a driveway on Manhattan Ave. The Jeep's owner confirmed the vehicle key fob was in the vehicle at the time of the theft. Please let this be another reminder to our residents to remove key fobs from vehicles when they are not in use. An incident like this one can quickly escalate into a dangerous situation for our officers. Community news. Bethany Community Center hosted a summer bash in honor of our first responders. It was well attended, and there were many activities at the event. We thank them for their sponsoring of the event. Recreation news. As I said last month, Councilman Morgan has started a new cheerleading program that will run under the Town Rec Department. I believe their first practice took place this past weekend. I'm sure Councilman Morgan will speak more about it in her report. We are looking forward to the basketball registration starting soon. Engineering news. When Councilman Sears and I were freshman councilmen back in 2014, we were instrumental in restarting the annual road resurfacing program. Boswell reports that the township has paved approximately 18.2 miles, or 43% of its approximately 42-mile system of roads under our jurisdiction. During that same time frame, the township has received over $1.2 million in grant money to defray the cost to the taxpayers. The ordinance to approve our stormwater management plan was adopted by the council at the August 9th meeting. The ordinance was reviewed by the County of Bergen as per a state requirement. The county returned with minor comments earlier this month, which are currently being addressed. Boswell is currently preparing a proposal for services regarding ADA improvements to Sherry Field, which is scheduled to be submitted to the town later this week. Last month, Boswell facilitated the repair of a township drainage line, which created a sinkhole at a property on Woodfield Road. In connection with some of the storm damage caused by Tropical Storm Ida, Boswell is working with the administrator and the DPW to address a few areas which flooded homes. Part of the solutions include installation of higher curbing and adding selective inlets, which will be added to the 2021 road improvement contract. Boswell notified us over the weekend that the county has slated the entire length of Pascack Road for paving. The first step in the process is for us to meet with the county's ADA sidewalk ramp expert to determine which sidewalk ramps need to be replaced and for us to prepare the necessary documents for the county. Intersection news. All of the easements associated with the project have been acquired. The project is now back under the county's control. Boswell Engineering has been in contact with the Bergen County Administrator, who has indicated that the Bergen County Executive was to sign off on the documents that would allow the county to advertise for bids in the fall of this year, with construction commencing in the spring of next year. 2021 Road Improvement Program. A pre-construction meeting took place on August 24th, which served as the official notice to proceed. The contractor is scheduled to begin work during the week of September 27th. Senior news. I have been asked to make the following announcement by our Golden Seniors. Any resident of the township interested in joining the Golden Seniors can come as a guest to a meeting to meet the folks. Meetings are held on the second and fourth Wednesdays at the Senior Center here in Town Hall. If you wish to join, there is an initiation fee of $20 and the annual dues are $10. For more information, please contact Jim Joyce at 201-664-6725. Not part of his announcement, I have attended a few of their meetings. They're really a great group of people. You owe it to yourself to attend a meeting. Planning board news. The board continues to hear the application of the Franklin Court Complex. Also, this coming Wednesday, the board will continue to hear the American Dream application. The zoning office news. The office reviewed 29 applications during the month of August. Court news.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mayor, could you repeat that about the zoning officer? Tell me we lost you.
Yeah, the zoning office reviewed 29 applications during the month of August.
Thank you.
Court news. During the month of July, the court dealt with approximately 150 cases during 2 virtual court sessions. Thank you. That concludes my report.
It's a lot of cases. Report of the council. Councilman Casio.
We have nothing to report, obviously. The mayor, he covers pretty much everything. The only thing I want to say is I requested on our agenda to be put on for amending our municipal zoning, and that wasn't put on. Desiree, we talked about that. So it fell off the list. I'm kind of surprised it did, so I would ask for next time, please put it on.
It did not fall off the list. I asked Mr. Pollard to put some proposals together for the future. He was not ready tonight.
I asked to discuss it tonight. I didn't ask for anything from Mr. Pollard. I asked to discuss it. That's what I asked.
Okay,
It
they will
was
be
agreed.
on for the next one.
Thank you. That's all.
Councilman DeSena.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your very lengthy, precise report. 2 quick things. At the rate of 14.4 miles of the 48 miles paved, that's going to take us a long time before we pave every street again. Some streets are going to be waiting 40 years. So we need to do something about that because it's not working. My street's going on 25 years of not being paved, and at that rate, that means I'll be, my youngest will be out of the house before it gets paved. So we need to do something about that, and I'm sure a lot of residents feel the same way.
We'll ask Boswell to look at the list again.
Yeah, so it's not only my street because I'm a council person, but it's everybody else that's called me and said, pave my street, please, because it's been 25 years that it hasn't been paved. A couple other things that were brought up was I'd like to see the building wrap put on the fire department. The building's been sitting, we replaced the roof. The plywood on the side has got black mold all over it. I'd ask Mr. Topo, whoever's responsible from the administration, to get the building wrapped. It's customary to put plywood on a building and wrap it the same day. That plywood on the sides of the building now has been exposed for over 6 months. You can see the black mold growing on it. It needs to be wrapped immediately. It should have been wrapped the day after the plywood was put up. I don't understand why we got to do everything backwards here. That's all I have for now, Mrs. Fee.
No, thank you. Councilman Sears.
Thank you. Just an update on the green team. Our community garden, we brought fresh herbs, some peppers and zucchini to the seniors. We're about ready to do our second cut to bring to the seniors. Also, the green team associated with the environmental middle school kids will start our Fill It Forward water project. We're gonna kick it off this Thursday at the planning board. And just to give you an idea, this is a water bottle that one of the kids will have, and there's a digital sticker on the bottle. So every time they fill the bottle, they will scan the sticker and it will register. And 2 cents will go to a third world water project, but also it will calculate how many plastic water bottles that we will not put in the environment. So we took a count of 184 school days, and we're a little bit under about 850,000 water bottles to be saved between the middle school and the high school if they scan 4 times a day.
They scan on their phone or at the water fountain?
They will scan it through an app on their iPhone. If they don't have one, their parents can download the app. So we already got recognition from the Bergen Hub for kicking this project off, and we're going to make a further announcement Thursday at the school board. That's the green team. As the fire department, we were up about 35 hours from when the storm hit. It was a tremendous amount of water that hit. The volunteers that went out that night, we did boat rescues, we did house rescues, we did car rescues, we pumped basements. We started around 8 o'clock, and I think our last call was around 12 noon the following day. So a lot of firemen were up 30 some plus hours. And I got to commend everybody that came out. They did a terrific job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Vice President Warren?
I want to just start by saying the same. I commend wholeheartedly the police and the firemen, the volunteers who went out for the storm. My husband also got called out at 3 a.m., so I know how terrifying it is when it sounds like the world is erupting outside and your loved one's out there. So many of the people who were out in that storm weren't even sure what their own home what was gonna happen inside, but they were helping others. So it speaks volumes to the kind of people that do that job. So I thank you. To talk about cheer, which I'm very proud of, we had a wonderful turnout on Saturday. We have 27 littles that were just absolutely adorable and thrilled to be there. I have 7 junior coaches who are about 7th and 8th graders. Some are 6th graders who are just wonderful role models for these little girls. Taught them a cheer. It was wonderful. And the moms that are volunteering are just fantastic. And it's a great group to be a part of. So hopefully there's more to come for cheer. We do have an idea. Councilman Sears and I are kind of throwing a teaser out here right now. There may be more to come for cheer, but we'll see about that. So really that is all. And I also just want to thank everyone who did come out for the 9/11 ceremony. Although somber, it was beautiful. And it was a nice way to memorialize that horrible day. So I thank you. That's it.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to the firemen and our police department and the ambulance corps who worked so hard on the night of Hurricane Ida. I think they went above and beyond to serve our town, so thank you very much. Again, the 20 years of 9/11 was a very somber day, and I myself can't believe it's 20 years ago. I hope all the families in our town and surrounding towns are doing well. I want to say I hope our families in town had a nice Yom Kippur also this past week. In addition, I was asked to find out what other municipalities are handling our public comment in the fashion that we are currently here. I have several towns. The first thing I want to say is that 2 towns in our surrounding area, Emerson and Saddle River, we only allow their residents 3 minutes to talk. And the following towns also have public comment with comments at the end. Some of these 4 towns comment simple questions. They respond to simple questions. So Allendale, Ramsey, Emerson, Saddle River, and our own Board of Education does. Oh, and Hawthorne does too, just so you know. I have a few more towns to research, but of the towns I called, these are the ones I found that fall in the same format that we do. Other than that, I'm so glad to hear that the Golden Seniors are back. That's really amazing, and that the senior bus is available. Thank you.
Mrs. Feeney, can I ask the mayor? Mr. Mayor, is the bus only available for ShopRite? They can't go to the doctor or anything still?
I don't know offhand, Bob, do you know offhand?
I do. It's actually available for any needs of our seniors.
It is available for
It
the
is.
residents to go to doctor visits
Correct.
and stuff like, because we keep saying ShopRite, and I think a lot of people, so they can call to schedule a doctor's visit.
Yeah, we're scheduling them daily, so
Okay, just want to put it out to the public.
So that's great. You can do that. Okay. General public comment, limit to 5 minutes. Motion to open public comment. I'll make a motion. May I have a second, please?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to come up? Yes, come.
Lynn Pistono, 631 Washington Avenue. I can't express how disappointed I am with the mayor and council. It's sad to see how unwilling you are to compromise. It goes to show, unfortunately, that the taxpayers and voters have no say. We have been complaining for months now about the enormity of the building. Design plans get changed all the time and up until the last minute, as we all know. As a matter of fact, if you were listening to our concerns, perhaps those of you on the Firehouse Committee could have stood up for us and not had the cupola added to the structure. Yes, it's too late for the obnoxious size of the structure, but it wasn't too late to not add the cupola, and it is certainly not too late to make adjustments to the 5-foot LED signage. Those signs are not being installed for quite a while, so let's see if our mayor and committee will support a compromise on this. As I've said at past meetings, our voices fall on deaf ears. I can stand up here for my 5 minutes and talk until I'm blue in the face, and I know you're going to do what you want. So I dare you to prove me wrong by working with those of us on Washington Avenue. I'm tired of hearing your condescending and sympathetic rhetoric and candor, because if you truly mean what you say, you would step up to the plate and work with us. Put your actions where your mouths are and give the residents on Washington Avenue something besides devalued property. Again, it is not too late to change the LED signs to just unlit signs. This building is an eyesore, and you all know it, and acknowledge that fact by saying you wouldn't want this in your front or backyards. There is no place for any greenery to soften the hardscape, so you want to illuminate it and make it even worse. Will you be giving us on Washington Ave any stipends to add trees to hide the building from our view? Don't bother responding, because I know the answer already, unless it's going to be yes. Again, none of you want to see this from your homes, yet you do absolutely nothing to help matters. It's sad to say, but it's business and politics as usual. Now I know why Mr. Mayor elected not to notify us by certified mail. He wanted to hide as much of this as possible. This is a big farce, and you all should be ashamed. I have no confidence in you. Let's see if what Councilman Cascio proposed at the 8:30 meeting regarding having something put into the code book that the town needs to act responsibly to the neighbors when building by following the same rules as the residents need to. Will this ever come to fruition? Honestly, and I'm sorry to say, I think it's just lip service to make us feel better. And if this is what Councilman Cascio asked about, then I'm guessing even our councilmen get the runaround. So honestly, and I'm sorry to say, I just read that. I will believe it when it happens. So again, I warn my fellow neighbors who live near town-owned property to remain alert and vigilant so you don't get a surprise and lose value on your homes as we did. I'm also asking you to come to town meetings and have your turn to say how you feel. I know this isn't in your backyard, but you're not happy, come and let your voices be heard. If you can't make the meetings, then be sure to call, even though my calls were never answered, or email the mayor and council with your concerns. Nothing will change otherwise. Don't stand silent and think others will take care of it. Everyone needs to speak regardless of where in town you live, because whether it affects you directly or not, this is your hard-earned tax money being spent. We must stand together as a community to stop getting pushed around by our governing body, hiding behind a law, and choosing not to be a good neighbor. And I'd like to thank our volunteers and police department.
Thank you, Mrs. Pistono. Anybody
Thank you.
else?
Good evening, Michael Lumpkin, 723 Amherst Drive. First of all, if you're paving Pascack, the corner of Pascack and Amherst where they did one of the ADA ramps floods really bad, so maybe they could take a look. Next time it rains, I'll send you a picture. But it's on the corner of Lorianne's house. I'm here to talk about, I know they're talking about the firehouse, but I have my own firehouse, and that's trying to get my driveway done. So in July 1st, I sent in my application through zoning because I need to extend my driveway, widen it by 8 feet. Since I'm removing the curb, the contractor told me I have to go to zoning. When I applied for zoning, I was told I had to put $1,000 into engineering escrow. I questioned the building department. I did not get an answer. I was told I don't have a choice. 10 days later, on July 11th, the zoning officer came to my house. To be honest with you, I don't know why I'm meeting the requirements of the ordinance, but it's nice to see that he came out to do his job. I asked him what the $1,000 was for. He had no idea. So strike two, no idea what that $1,000 was for. He issues me the permit the next day, so he was within the 10 days. At this point, my contractor refused to come out till I had permission from engineering because the letter from the zoning officer said I need the engineer's sign off. August 19th, I finally got the letter from Boswell with the further requirements for my driveway. At this point, my first contractor decided he wanted to retire. He would not add me to the list, so I began my search looking for a second contractor, which I could tell you, I had two contractors when I told them. They said, oh, we'll be there in an hour to give you a quote. I tell them what town I live in, and they never showed up. So now I am down the list to the fourth contractor out of only 4 contractors I was even planning on calling. So Boswell sent me a letter with, I'm going to get into a bunch more requirements required of me. And then later on, I get a bill from Boswell for not the town engineer, a lower level engineer, for 2 hours worth of work for $181 an hour, $362 to review site plans and prepare the letter. What site plans? The only plans I submitted was a survey of my property, which shows my driveway per the town ordinance on the side with my garage. The ordinance does not say you can widen your driveway 22 feet except blah, blah, blah. It says you could go up to 22 feet. So again, what are we reviewing? Why am I being billed? I would love a further breakdown. And I can tell you it was not a hell of a letter that I would think would take 2 hours. But okay, what was in the letter? Item 1, I have to put $1,000 performance bond down due to the curb. So I looked, town ordinance on the E-code, the performance bond shall be available to the township in the event that any backfilling or permanent pavement restoration is not performed to the satisfaction of the town. I'm not touching any asphalt. They are removing 8 feet of curb and putting 8 feet of curb back, flush with the road like everyone else's driveway. There's no backfilling. Any backfilling would be the grass on my property. Why I have to put $1,000 bond down, I don't know. I question when they come to pave the roads, do they put down performance bonds? Do they put the $10,000 bond that they have to because they're actually cutting into the road? Probably not. When they paved Amherst Drive, they destroyed our curb when they were milling it in a couple areas. So where's the town going after them? I guess contractors do what they want, hit the taxpayer. Okay. Next, the engineer from Boswell tells me I need a road opening permit for $150 and a $350 fee to Boswell. Road opening permit. Purpose of opening. Emergency, no. New service, no. Test borings, no. The word curb does not appear on here. It asks what the length of the trench is, the width of the trench, the size of the opening, the location of the main. Okay, there's $150 gone. Boswell gets $350 fee per our town ordinance. Boswell gets 2 inspections for $350, 1 for backfilling, 1 for pavement restoration. Neither apply, so why do I have to pay that? Now I'm in construction. I currently manage a $40 million construction project. The contract in construction, you can never write a spec that meets every requirement that you're going to see out in the field. Everything changes. I do not believe that a town can write an ordinance that's going to apply to every exact situation for every taxpayer. I understand. In construction, we go to the intent. It's a legal term we have in our contract. What is the intent? So what is the intent of the ordinance? I go to the ordinance for roadway opening permit. No person or entity seeking to perform a street opening or excavation shall authorize work, blah, blah, blah. Again, I am not opening the street, nor am I excavating in the street. But then that makes me think, I kept reading, town engineer has to come out every time they open up the street. Amherst Drive has been opened up 4 times, twice by Kramer, twice by Suez for different issues. I watched every single one of those times happen. It was right in front of my house. Not one time did an engineer come out.
Mr. Lumpkin, I'm sorry, 5 minutes is up.
All right, well, I'm just going to finish with all due respect. Thank you, Sue, but the residents during the firehouse went over 5 minutes, and that was allowed. This is my firehouse. I'm going to take my time. At this point, I also would like to say,
She didn't go over 5 minutes. She
not
said-
today, at the previous meeting about the firehouse.
Mr. Lumpkin, please.
Well, I'm just going to end with I.O. Boswell now. They sent me another letter, which I'd love to get into, over $1,000, up to $1,500 to widen my driveway, and I owe the town somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000. We don't know. So I'm owing $4,000. Do I need to give my firstborn too?
Ms.
For
Lumpkin,
8 feet of
Could you please
curb?
provide a copy of what you received from the town to the?
Would you also like a copy of what Emerson does, where you don't pay anything because the DPW does it? You know, if we're talking about other towns, let's talk about what
Mr.
other
Lumpkin,
towns do much better
Would you
than
please
us.
provide a copy of what you received from Boswell and the town to the township clerk at your earliest convenience?
Sure.
Thank you.
I mean, it's not hard to find. I mean, it's more than my mortgage payment. I should draw my light in my minutes.
He says, you can have the rest of my time. I just want all my 5 minutes.
Would anybody else like to come up? No problem.
You scared me. Hi, good evening. The saga of my trees. Okay, we're back to the firehouse.
Please state your name and address. for the
Yeah, oh,
record,
that's,
please.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, Cora Beekman at 638 Washington Avenue.
Thank you, Mrs.
Seems
Beekman.
I've got a new neighbor. I was asking about the trees. Well, they're gone. And the problem is they were my trees. And you didn't take your tree. That's what's so convoluted about planning. No one came out to check. And this was like round 2 of the trees. When they first came, I thought you took all your trees. And I kind of asked him, what would it do to take them down? I don't mind that the trees are missing. I just minded the procedure and kind of being left out of the loop. So they're gone. And we have a problem. We want to install a fence. That's what it is. And I think we were open to the last meeting. It was like, we're open to any ideas because I can see that, I can't wait for it to be done. I can only imagine how you guys feel. I want out. Somehow I want out. The place has made my house dwarfed it. It looks ugly. Buy it from me, really. Make yourself a parking lot. It may help with the proportion there. But I'm making that offer to you. I don't really want to move in, but it is a big imposition. We have a guy, I just spoke to the neighbor behind me. I mean, I met him, really. He was yelling, and you know what he was yelling? Now I can see my neighbor. And that's me. So I kind of took that a little personally. But I'm talking to him and I understand that he's been, you took his fence. He thinks you owe him a fence. And you probably do because you kind of owe me 2 trees. That's all beside the point because I want it to be nice. And the first responders, we're going to need a new breed of them with some of the catastrophes that are coming down the pike. You know, so I feel so sorry for our children. And what else? Any ideas? We don't have any idea. I guess we'll put the fence off till next year and just let the weeds grow. I don't know what to do here. But a lot of people are really sore about not feeling included. And now it's done. There's nothing we can do. That's how we feel. All right, that's all really I want to have my say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Beekman. No, just wait till the end. Please,
No, but
thank you.
No. But can you ask her a question? Do we go on her private property and take her trees down?
What-
Is that what Mrs. Beekman said?
We did not.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure he's aware of the trees.
So just
No,
because there was a comment I'm going to add. If you would please, Mr. Togo, give Mrs. Beekman your phone number so that you guys could discuss this, if you don't mind.
No, he's communicating with my husband.
He is.
Yes, no, it is, I'm not complaining about, there's a responsiveness.
There
I'm
is.
complaining about,
What happened?
I would have said, yeah, do it.
Not being notified, not being notified.
Someone understood the situation, because now you have your tree there, but took mine too.
But you
Right
are,
on the corner, it's on, I saw it on your survey.
understood, but you are,
And they took the trees, all the trees they wanted in the first
I know,
place.
there's nothing I can,
This is the second place.
but you are speaking to Mr. Tovo. Your husband is speaking to Mr.
Communicating, I don't know, not,
I understand, thank you. Yes,
Good evening, Kevin Doyle, 655 Furnace Street. Again, I want to commend the police department, the fire department, ambulance corps. Ida came through our town like nothing I have ever seen before, and I want to commend the entire emergency services in this town. They did a fantastic job. I want to give a quick little shout out. A friend of mine's a volunteer here in town. He ran up a shot vac to my house, helped me out big time, so shout out to him. Main point I'm up here tonight is for this: public safety. This past summer, when I would drive around town, especially if I was going to the shopping center, the amount of kids that were riding around town without helmets on, doing wheelies, this is a public safety issue that has to be addressed. I know it's the summer, these kids want to have fun. You got to take your safety first. I'm hoping that next summer, the police department can do a little bit of a better job. I'm not trying to say they didn't do a good job, but they need to monitor these kids. Someone is going to get hurt. Someone's going to get seriously injured, and then it's going to appear on the front page of the paper. I don't want to see that happen in this town. Next summer, when all the schools are out and people are out, especially kids, make sure they are wearing their helmets, because God forbid something happens, it's going to look bad. And someone is really, really going to get hurt. So next summer, please enforce the helmet laws for people riding their bikes. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? She had her hand up first.
Mary Ann Osmond, 960 Adams Place. Thank you for the list, Mrs. Feeney. It's Saddle River, Allendale, Ramsey, and Emerson.
And Hawthorne, and our own Board of Education. Actually, several boards of education.
Okay. Thank you. It only took about 10 weeks. All right. Now I would like an update on the signs in the shopping center that was discussed 3 weeks ago. And I don't know if anything's been done about it. The houses on Adams Place, they have been mowed. And then again, that took only 8 weeks, and it's pretty bad that a resident has to go around, and there are other residents who've complained about other houses in the area, and I don't know where the construction code official or property maintenance person is, but that's part of his job, and that's what he should be doing. The road program, Harrison, I live on Adams, Harrison is the next street. They, for 25 years, have also not been done. And we're going to start this in September 27th. That's the fall. The leaves are falling. I thought they were supposed to put macadam down in the summer. It's the best time, that you're supposed to be able to do this. I don't understand. I had also asked what job classifications received more than a 1.5% raise in the salary ordinance, and I really didn't hear back from anyone.
Excuse me, Mrs. Osmond, the email went to you today.
Excuse me?
The email went to you today.
Oh, well, I didn't look today. It was 3 weeks ago, so I just presumed it would have. Okay, thank you anyway.
You're welcome.
The council met in public on 7/12. Zoning and planning have still not met in public. I would like to know why. Mr. Sears and the mayor are here. They're on the planning board. When the mayor opens up the town is open. Why the planning board does not meet in public so that all the residents can come? We have 2 Franklin Court and a Viviano property. People should be able to come to the meeting, not sit home and have to watch on a small screen. I'm sorry, they should be made, and if they can't or they don't like to come, then they can, resign the board. There's still a dead tree on Ridgewood Boulevard East and Jackson Avenue, and I'd like to know if anybody did anything or what's happening with that.
Mrs. Osmond, what was the cross street? Sorry.
Excuse me?
Ridgewood and, sorry.
Jackson.
Jackson, thank you.
Ridgewood Boulevard East in Jackson.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's what 3 weeks ago, that's the one I talked about. They also have another one that's semi-dead also, but that's another story. I'd like to know what's happening with the DMF building itself. What are plans? Has anybody seen any? I'd like to know the status of the fire truck, fire trucks, the firehouse status. We haven't had Mr. Connolly here. I mean, he was promised to have come back, he never did. The cheer program for the kindergarten and first grade, I saw it was in the paper, and I'm glad you have it. It's wonderful. Except it says registration fee of $50 will be collected at a later date. Mr. Poller, I'd like an answer on that. Can you really collect fees after the fact if you've started the program? In my estimation, and I've been here a long time, I have never seen the township collect fees after the fact that didn't have any fee at all. Maybe in addition to the fee, but not the whole fee. I'd rather see the program not collect fees. I'm sorry. I'd rather have that happen than this. This is ridiculous. Mr. Paul, I really would like your opinion.
I'll give it to you.
Okay, afterwards. You're not allowed to turn it down.
Okay.
How long is all the problems with the firehouse roofing, setting back the finishing of the firehouse? The town has its own website. And I have heard from someone that there is a person paid $1,000 per month to maintain this website. I'd like to know if this is true, and how come this is not in the salary ordinance? Okay, there was a thing on this Facebook page that I looked at, talked about the mayor and his, Mr. Sears and whoever they're running with, about door tags. Well, I have to talk about this for a minute. Republicans running as independents, it was a big thing written up in this thing. There is no such party affiliation in New Jersey, as independent candidates could be either just Democrats or Republicans. Independents are usually people who believe in issues in small towns like ours and don't feel party affiliation is the end-all be-all.
1 minute left, Mrs. Osmond.
Better than a Republican who was a Democrat until the last minute before petitions were due to town and who only lives in this town a short period of time. And Republicans not schedule campaign events during fire department car shows. Okay, but on Halloween, the Republicans get out hot dogs and water on Colonial. Halloween is for children and not for politicians. And I've been very upset over that for many years. I'd like to know where the money comes from for that event. I've always wondered. The project tracker, can't we as residents see what's on the project tracker? Is nothing on this week's. But this way we could really find out what's happening, because it's very difficult to listen to Mr. Tebow and not know Togo and not know what's happening. Well, that's about it. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Pistano.
John Pistano, 631 Washington Avenue. Want to discuss the cupola. I understand we taxpayers get to pay $15,000 for that thing. Thank you very much. I now have a 360-degree view of it. Thank you very much. You're welcome to survey it from my backyard. It serves no purpose and it looks horrible. That's not coming from me. That's coming from the builder. I surveyed the neighborhood and found over 30 homes can see that cupola from Washington Avenue, Valley Court, Clinton Avenue, and McKinley Avenue. Wait till the leaves are down. Okay, water retention. There seems to be a number of cement containers on the property now. We were of the impression that water retention was taken care of on this building. All right, what are these containers? And why aren't they in the ground? And why are they right next to Mrs. Beekman? Okay, I'd like to know where that water's going to go. Her lot, several other residents behind her, next door to her, it's going to be in their backyard. Okay, I know she had water in after this storm. Thank you, Mr. DeSena, for addressing the lovely wood that I get to stare at every day of my life. And you're also exceedingly generous with that in as much as you put the floodlight on every night and I get to view it from every window in my home. Thank you very much. When are you going to turn that floodlight off? My wife is very good at getting emotional, all right? And I could do a good job too. But I think all of you folks should get to see what we get to see every day from our property. And I am the only residence that I know of, and you know that I surveyed a neighborhood. I am the only resident in this township that can see that cupola from 360 degrees, okay? And some of my neighbors, they get to see it even better, because they only get to see it on a 90 degree. So I would invite you to come and look at it. And then you tell me if you think that's such a sweetheart of a building, all right? That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mayor Calamari, Councilman Feeney, Keith Jensen, 414, Pascack. I like the movie Cool Hand Luke, so I'll start off with saying what we have here, Mayor, Councilwoman, is a failure to communicate. Okay. I start off because for years, you guys talk about parcels of land that are owned by the town. If you want them, speak up, get them. I raised my hand today, I bought it. You said put it in writing. I put it in writing once, twice. Put it in, and then send a letter in. Crickets. Haven't heard from anybody about anything. So
Okay.
I'm expecting an answer from you on something that later, please. I did actually get a response. I got a response in the respect of a violation. A violation, Mr. Mayor, I expect you to answer me on this one. How, after a bush that's been there for 40 years, I get a citation in my house saying I need to trim it for safety reasons, no less, because someone can get hit because they can't see a car coming. But it's been there for decades. The former person was taking care of it. I took pictures. That wasn't on the side. I reached out to the number on there to the building department or the person who gave me the thing, and no one answered back. But I got a violation for it. A bush that's well on the town property, only several days after asking to acquire the property. Odd, right? Accusing anybody? Read between the lines. No, of course I'm not. Doesn't make any sense at all, though. I spoke to Dominic, who's on the DPW. He said, "Oh yeah, mayor council. Somebody called me and told me to do it." I said, "Find out who." He calls back. He's like, "Oh, they didn't call me. They actually called the police." I called up the police chief. My own investigation is going on. It comes back to the failure to communicate. You guys aren't talking to me, so I have to go ahead and talk to anyone I can. That's why I see my name in the paper. And there's other things I'm going to do. If you just have to respond to me, and I know, I just want this piece of the land. That's all, fairly, not another way. And I don't want a violation. I had to deal with it. So 10 days goes by, and that bush is still there. A violation for safety, not like the grass in Adams, which is going on for what, months, and they didn't do it. But you got a safety violation for someone get killed, and you give it to me 4 days out right by the house. Weird, right? Strange. So I did it. I trimmed it. Your bush. I didn't get the violation. I took care of it. I took care of the grass. I've mowed it a few more times since then, but I'm taking care of it. I'm waiting for you guys to give me an answer on my property, and I'm waiting for an answer who gave me a violation, why I got a violation. Mr. Pollard, 450 Pascack. I'm not asking a single thing about what's going on inside that closed doors. But I'm a very active and involved person in the community. I might even join the fire department, Mr. Sears. We'll talk about that. I was volunteer for 6 years before that. No, don't roll your eyes. I'm excited about that. Me as a veteran, you as a veteran. It was a great job with the fire department fundraiser. I went there, pointed out the flags that are shredded like spaghetti along Pascack Road for months. But you took care of it finally. I appreciate that. Right? But Mr. Pollard, 450. I'm not asking about what's going on about the negotiations you guys are doing. Whatever you want to do with that, pay for it. I don't care. But I'm an active member of the community. What I want to do with my property on 414, I want to do it for the community. I'm either going to move in, my brother's going to move in. I'm going to do whatever, or I'll develop it. If you guys say, hey, Keith, get involved with the other guy and develop that into something that you want. I'm not applying for a variance or anything like that. No way. But if you say, we would love for you to better the community by doing something, let me know. What I'm asking each one of the council people up here and the mayor not what you're doing with 450. Let's imagine it's done. What is it that you envision after 450 is acquired by the town, if it's acquired by the town? What do you want it to be, and how much is it going to cost? That's what I want to know. So, in closing, in my last few seconds, I appreciate you guys answering me. That's all. I don't talk to anybody else. I'm a fair guy, straightforward. I want to be a part, help the community, do what I can, but just talk to me. Don't say, oh, don't just blow me off. Oh, last thing, when you brought up the point about the internet, I have a company, a few different things going on, and one of them is maintaining websites and stuff. It costs me $100 a month. That's what I charge people. The gentleman that was sitting here before said his wife offered to do it for free. So if it is indeed $1,000, I'm waiting to hear about that. You know, that's just a side note that's interesting. But please answer my questions, please, and let's all live together, be kumbaya nice. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Jensen. Anybody else? Okay. Motion to close public comment?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Tova, Mr. Mayor, anything you'd like to respond to?
Sure, I'll start off. Mrs. Pistono, when you asked about design changes, I whispered to Administrator Tovo, we're not aware of any design changes that have taken place since the final design, which has to go back a couple years. And as far as the certified mail, I've answered that plenty of times, so I'm not going to re-answer it. It was not my responsibility to do it, and so you can blame me all you like, that's fine, but it was not my responsibility to send the notices out. Mr. Lemkin, I want time to look in, he left. I want time to look into everything he's saying. I couldn't take shorthand quick enough as he was speaking, but I will take a look into what he's saying. Mrs. Beekman, I don't know about your tree issue. Obviously, I'm going to say Administrator Tovo is communicating with your husband. You kind of said not talking necessarily, so that could be email or whatever. So perhaps Administrator Tovo will give more information on it when I'm done. Kevin, I couldn't agree with you more. The kids, they're riding very recklessly. All I can say is in addition to the police, it should start with the parents. The parents should make sure these kids have helmets and use them properly. So it always starts with the parents, but the police should definitely be the second line. Mrs. Osmond, the schedule of paving being too late, probably as you're aware, the budget didn't get approved till later this year. I won't go into the reasons why, but we can't start a paving project until we have a budget in place. So that's the reason why it's late, why it is the time that it is. Zoning and planning still remote. I can't speak for zoning. I don't sit on that board. However, planning board did talk about it a couple months ago, and the decision was made for it to still be remote. Just because I opened the building, the board, especially those two boards, have the autonomy to do what they choose to do. Collecting fees for each year after the fact, I think Attorney Powell said he'll address that one. Website person, I don't know who we are contracted with offhand, and hot dogs for Halloween, the past few years has been paid for out of the public affairs budget. Let's see, Mr. Pistono, I don't know specifically about the water retention containers you are referring to. If Mr. Tovo can't answer that this evening, one of us will have an answer for you. And a floodlight being on every night, I'll be happy when I leave the meeting to drive past and see what you're referring to and get it taken care of. Unless it's on for security, but again, I'm sure we can do something to meet a security need and not have it shining in your house or your eyes. So I'm sure we can come up with a happy medium on that.
There is a security camera on that pole.
Okay.
Right in front of us.
Okay, the one we added recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Mr. Jensen, regarding your property, the only thing I think I'm safe in saying, but can you stop me if I'm going any place I shouldn't go, because I know we're still talking 450 and closed. I would say there is no future yet for that property because we want to leave our options open to see what happens with 450. So the property that you're referring to, I want to say we're not going to entertain selling it right now until 450 is done, and then we see if we can use it as part of, a combined type of project. That's my comment on that for now. So Stacy, that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Chogo.
Thank you, Madam President. Starting off with Mr. Lumpkin's question, he has since left. We do require a performance bond for all paving done by the town. Ms. Beekman, the trees that were removed, I did convey that information to your husband. They're clearly our trees. It shows on the survey they're ours.
Then why didn't you tell them that in the first place? Why did you have to come back for them? Because in the first place, they were my trees.
It shouldn't be conversation.
Mrs. Beekman, we can set up a time for you to meet with Mr. Chogo, but if you could just not shut out from the audience, please. That's okay.
I wasn't ready for it.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would not say that.
I can't speak to the scheduling as to why they were cut when they were, but they were clearly ours. They're actually occupying.
I know. Mr. Chobo, would it be okay if you set up a meeting with the Beekmans to go over what occurred? I think that would be the best course of action right now.
Well, again, I did try to stop your house. You were unavailable on a number of occasions, and finally your husband called me, but I would gladly step by. Okay? Okay, I will give you a call and we'll.
Thank you very much.
As far as property maintenance, Adams Place was mentioned in particular. Our DPW has mowed a number of distressed properties throughout town. We have some irresponsible lien holders not doing the work, and therefore we're able to step in and do it for them. We do not pay $1,000 per month for any of our social media services. I'm not sure which one you're referring to, Facebook or the website, but they're substantially less than that. The water retention mentioned by Mr. Pistono, the site work at the firehouse started last week. So those water retention containers will be installed shortly. Okay.
So they are water retention containers.
They are.
Okay.
And lastly, to Mr. Jensen's questions, I did meet with Mr. Jensen to explain the process of obtaining township properties to him and reviewed his questions regarding the citation, which was not a citation, it was a notice. So there was nothing punitive associated with that. The reason for issuance of the notice was the police department notified our code official that there was a site obstruction issue caused by that bush. You are correct. We have since learned the tree is ours, or the bush is ours, and we will maintain it. Madam President, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Casio?
Yeah, Mrs. Pistono, I understand your concerns, and, I did want to bring up onto the council dais discussing about doing the neighborly thing, following the rules that the town establishes for our citizens, that we should follow the same rules. Let's see what happens there. Hopefully that won't go on deaf ears. Mr. Lumpkin, he left, talking about his road opening. Yes, we have fees that are on the books that are antiquated and outdated. We are charging our residents a lot of extra money for permits, engineering fees that I think may be unnecessary. And this is not something new. This has been going on for years. I think every resident that decides to do some type of project on their home get assessed excessive fees for undue engineering. We had Mr. Conti here a couple, probably 6 months ago. He put in a sidewalk, same exact thing. So I think those things need to be reviewed, okay? And I think maybe we should discuss it with some residents, because Here's the thing. We want to improve our property. We want to make it look better, make our town look nicer. We are actually penalizing our homeowners to improve their property, and that is just wrong, okay? Yes, there's some things we need permits for to do. I understand, because we're talking about safety for not only the resident, but we're also talking about safety for surrounding residents. And I understand that, but there are some things that are just unjust. And I think those fees should be revised. We'll have an engineer look at it. When I say look at it, look at what we need to do and what's prudent, not just to raise money, unfortunately. Speaking of trees, I don't know if the trees are yours or not yours. What I would suggest you do is if you have a survey of your home, obviously the town does not do any project without any surveys, and on our survey, there should be tree markings, like most surveys do, okay? I know when we go to build in our town, we got to mark out where every tree is. So let's compare surveys, okay? And let's see whose trees those are. Kevin, you know how I feel about bicycles, and the kids, I see it every day in my office. They're going down Ridgewood Road, groups of them now, 10, 15 strong, no helmets. That's something that is easily enforceable by our police department. And I'm not saying give kids tickets, but maybe a warning, maybe a phone call to the parent. It's very, very important, okay? And Ms. Morgan will tell you that head injuries are very, very difficult to fix once it happens, and we like to prevent them. And hopefully, Mr. Sears, we get that grant for safe bikes and passageway to schools. That would definitely be advantageous to everyone. Let's go to Mr. Jensen about the property. It's been our policy, okay, or at least my policy, my understanding of the policy, it's been this policy for the last 6 or 7 years. We have inventory of property that we have always asked if anyone would like it. We'd like to get it off our books because we don't need it. It's a lot of unusable property, and it might be useful to another homeowner. If he can add another 20 feet somewhere, he can increase his living space by X amount of feet, and it just helps everyone. So if we have excess inventory, I'm all in favor of getting rid of it because the property is useless. Now we talk about trees that have site obstruction. I know in town, I see it every day because I drive through it, we have plenty of trees that are obstructing views. And I don't know why your particular parcel was targeted. I have no idea. But if I'm going to ride around town, I'm going to start marking trees that the township owns or any other resident owns that causes vehicle obstruction, site obstruction. Because I can just think of one, and I know Mr. Calamari knows this tree, okay? When you go down the bottom of Hampshire, trying to make a left or right, getting onto East Glen, where the water main is, right? Mm-hmm. You can't see anything. That's a fatality waiting to happen. So again, if they're looking at your property, the police, they better start looking at other properties. Because I'll tell you right now, that would be negligence on our part if we don't enforce that. I see trees over on sidewalks all the time. So again, I don't know why you got that letter. I'm glad it's our tree. I'm glad you took care of it. Thank you very much. But in the future, let's make sure who owns it before we start giving out violations or whatever Mr. Tovo said. What did you call it, Mr. Tovo?
A notice.
A notice before we're giving out notices. Let's see. Water retention, I'll go back to Mr. Pistono. We talked about when you first came in, how I looked at the building. I noticed that those water retention systems, the grading there was filled up with silt. Hopefully they put a silt fence up, but we knew, or someone should know, especially the engineer, should have known that we're going to have a water problem, okay? And you need someone who's experienced in stormwater management and an engineer that knows about, let's look at the last storm we had, right? We never thought we were going to have a storm like that. But even when we have a regular storm, we have a lot of flooding, okay? And that stuff has to be addressed. Now we know these storms are coming, especially with Ida that just blew through, okay? It's just going to get worse, I'm not a big global warming person or environment or climate change, but we do have a lot of impervious surfaces, and we have to make sure that we manage that stormwater very, very efficiently. So I don't know where those are going. Hopefully they go in and they do the job, because that's important. The cheerleading fees, I don't know, I'll let Mr. Poller speak to that, but I have never seen something where we let children or someone sign up for anything and then pay later. It's kind of weird, but
It'll be explained.
I'm sure. I hope so. I hope it's within our jurisdiction to do that. Let's see. I think I covered everything at this point, so I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Powell, I'm going to go to you to clear up a few things if you don't mind before we go.
Okay, well, well, it is true that we try to usually have an ordinance with a fee to be collected prospectively.
You have to sit closer to the microphone.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry,
All right,
just
okay.
got
All
it.
right, so-
go through your mess.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
sorry, okay, so usually we do have an ordinance where you have the program established and the fee put in the ordinance, and it starts to be collected when the program starts. In this situation, the timing was very much off because the ordinance had to be introduced. There are 2 readings for the ordinance. But the program needed to be registered so that people could actually start the program. And if we waited and did it the normal way, then you would not have a program because it would have taken too long. So there's nothing wrong with having a program established by ordinance. There's nothing wrong with collecting the fee afterwards when the program started, after the ordinance is effective. Just because you're not used to it, just because you haven't seen it, just because you think it's not the way it's done, doesn't mean it's illegal, immoral, or improper in any way. And Dr. Cassio, I think you actually voted for it, and it was actually, I think you did anyway. And I was explained to you.
We did.
It was explained to
Yeah.
you.
I didn't,
It was, I don't know.
I didn't say anything in the negative. I just didn't know how it
I
was.
just want to say, it was explained that was the reason why we were putting the ordinance out. It wasn't a secret. It wasn't something thrown out there to, I'm not saying you said it was, but it wasn't some, whip-de-doo ordinance. It was explained that, it was put out there because the program needed to have people, sign up for it.
I
So
understand
it
that.
was a timing thing, and when the ordinance is effective, the money will be collected.
Okay.
As far as boards go, I realize everybody loves to come up and think that the people up here control the world, at least in Washington Township, but it doesn't. The boards, the land use boards are independent. They're on their own. They pick their own lawyers. They set their own schedule. And if they decide that it's in their purview or their view to have things by Zoom, they are entitled to do that. And as a matter of fact, if you go around the county, you will find a tremendous amount of boards that still operate by Zoom. Not only do the boards operate by Zoom, but the courts operate by Zoom. Arbitrations are by Zoom. Many things I do are by Zoom. And this is one of the things that's an offshoot of the COVID situation, and it's addressed in different ways by different authorities. So the board can do it in person if they wanted to, not that they're not able to. But this body up here, the mayor, the council, they can't dictate to the boards to say, you must have in-person meetings. Mr. Jensen, you're right, I'm not going to say anything about 450 Pascack Road. I will say that, this thing about selling township property, it's not an automatic thing that because somebody wants to buy property, it's automatic that it's going to be sold. It has to be analyzed whether it's in the town's long-term interest to have it sold. Most of the time, it comes about because there are sliver lots, 25-foot lots around town, and they are usually sold off to the landowners. A few years ago, a lot of years ago, there was a triangular piece that was bought by 5 homeowners, I recall, and pieces were given off to add to their land. There was a piece of property that was sold off that was adjoining the backyard of another piece of property. But each property is analyzed on its own, whether it's in the town's interest to sell that piece of property. So it's not automatic. And so you are right to go to Mr. Tobo. He looks at it, and it gets looked at in terms of analysis and stuff like that. And I think the mayor did comment that nothing is going to be done until 450 progresses to where it's going to progress to. And that's not a short-term situation, just for your own information. It's going to take a while. I think that's pretty much my things.
Vice President Morgan?
Can I ask Mr. Pollard a question, Mrs. Feeney, regarding what you just talked about?
Okay.
Were the children registered, Mr. Pollard?
I think they were. right?
Yes, they're registered.
They were registered in Community Pass for insurance purposes and everything. Okay. I thought that was the case. I just wanted to let it, but I remember that's what we talked about. I just wanted to make sure the public knows that they were registered in Community
Oh,
Pass.
yes, yes.
They just didn't pay the fee.
I'll clear that, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was
We
another,
can talk about the fee being determined after.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm just letting the
Yeah.
public know that they were registered, so they
Yeah.
were under our umbrella policy, our insurance policy,
Yes.
and that parents have to follow a code of conduct that they sign off in Community
100%.
Pass, well, just not giving us money, that's all.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
okay. So Mrs. Beekman, I'm not gonna continue to talk about everything that everyone else already addressed. It's just more of the same. But Mrs. Beekman, Cora, I hope that we can come to a resolution with you installing your fence. To me, it doesn't seem like an unreasonable ask. So I'm just going to continue to ask Mr. Tovo to be in communication with you to come with some resolve for that. And I'm sorry about your trees if that is the situation. I do hope that you are able to come to some kind of, something to make a better. All right. Well, I just, I think that if you guys are, if you could just communicate with Mr. and Mrs. Beekman about the fence, at least to address that, that would be great because it's the second time that it's been mentioned. To Mr. Jensen's point about feeling targeted over your tree, over your bush or something what's that? Okay. Well, the thing is, I don't think the police are targeting anyone. I think that other properties have also been tagged and looked at. We don't know that they haven't done it to anyone else because no one else is here talking about it. So I think it's not safe to assume that it's one person being targeted. Kevin, the bike helmets. This is near and dear to my heart because most of you know what I do for a living. So yes, obviously, it is detrimental that we get a grip on it. However, I do live the other side of it, and I have 3 young teenage daughters who, for some reason, I don't know when the switch flips, but it's no longer considered like popular or cool to wear a helmet. And I think that, and myself as a parent, I struggle. This is a challenge. I will say, then you can't ride your bike. You're not going to be riding your bike then. I'll wear a helmet, and they bring the helmet out. And unless I'm running after them or have some, drone hovering over, I don't know if the helmet came off, but I'm sure it has because no one else in the group's wearing it, as I can see throughout the whole town. So it really is a struggle. I do try to tell my children, show them horrifying pictures of head injuries and tell them stories that I know. But I think they're in that age, all these kids, that they're so invincible and nothing happens to them at this age. So it's really, it does have to start with the parents and my husband and I, and I'm sure many parents who can attest to this. Sometimes you can speak till you're blue in the face and they're just not going to get it because of their children, their kids. So I would love for someone to take the pressure off and, if we could have some kind of ticket my children, ticket our children, whatever you have to do, make them get off the bike and walk it home, send a letter to the parents, something to let us know, just so we could all kind of be doing the same thing. So bring the what's not cool and popular anymore back to the normal. If you want to ride your bike in Washington Township, you've got to wear a helmet. That would be my dream. I will help anybody that if we could get that moving, get that going, I will form a committee. I will do anything that I can do if I could get some support for that. Yes, I have now become the uncool mom in town. Absolutely.
Uncool and alive is good.
Yes. And I just want to address too the hot dogs and the water on Colonial. I can't speak to, but when Council President Feeney and I were campaigning, we did have potato chips and water and selfies and stuff in front of my own home on my private property that was paid for by myself and Council President Feeney. So that's where that money came from. And that's all I have.
Thank you. In regards to the bike helmets, I tell my own young child, as soon as the bike helmet comes off, the bike goes up in the ceiling of the garage and she loses it for 24 hours. So we've had lots of screaming matches over the bike. being able, like I've chased her down the street and been like, you're done. So I'm also the uncool mom when her friends are not wearing their helmets. So please sign me up for that because I agree. I also think the kids riding in the shopping center, we need to talk to the landlord about, because they're jumping off the curbs out in front of cars. And I think that's exceptionally dangerous and I would hate to see an accident happen. Regarding the person who manages our, I want to say social media, Facebook, and our town page, this person is a consultant. I've inquired about it. It is not $1,000 a month. I can absolutely attest to that. I do have a list of their job responsibilities, which I wanted to tell you, the person is on call 24/7. Sue can actually attest to this because she works with this person on a daily basis. They are contacted every day by multiple departments in town with updates to post and updates all the files that are uploaded to the town website. Nope, it's the same person. That's a misunderstanding. It's the same person. That keeps the residents up to date. They also do the agendas, simultaneous postings on Facebook and Twitter, and they also do the e-blast through the constant contact when Sue or the administrator requests it. They also do any updates with the fire department and the ambulance corps websites, and they actually do those as a courtesy for the volunteer associations. They don't get paid. That's not part of their job responsibility, but they do update those pages for free. Plus, again, keeping all of the files that are uploaded to the town's website and the Facebook page up to date and current. So I just want to make that clear. Anything else? Mrs. Beekman, I really do encourage you to set up time with Mr. Tobo if you can. Let me know when the meeting is. I'd love to come out and help you.
They aren't there.
I'll bring you a tree. Okay, tell me what kind you like. Anything else? I think everything else was addressed. Mr. Jensen, again, apologize for the inconvenience and the misunderstanding. I do not feel the town is targeting you, but I'm glad that now the town knows it's their responsibility to take care of that bush. So, and if you do have any problems, my phone number is on the website, please. You and I have spoken before.
I thought that was off record.
What? No, but I'm just saying, my phone number, we've spoken before. So that's all I have.
Please answer my other question though.
Um,
Except for the mayor. I asked that every person would love 450 to be if it was acquired.
Yeah, this is not something that they would be.
Yeah,
That's not close.
It's not something they would do. Why would they do that? They don't have to do it. Yeah.
They represent us.
Yeah, they don't have to answer to you what they're gonna do. They don't have to answer to you what they.
Shouldn't be like this, shouldn't be back and forth like this.
So the thing is that with the current situation, I personally would not comment in order to keep things confidential as we've been advised to by council. So I'm just letting you know, it's just my own choice to do that. Regarding the fill bottles, if we could expand, maybe, I know that some of the parochial schools in the area might want to participate. So we can catch up on that.
We just need to get through the first phase.
So let me know, and I know that at least 2 schools right immediately here would get involved with that. And that's all I have, thank you. Councilman Sears?
Oh, thank you. I guess this has been covered until you guys heard about the copler and the trees, so there's no need in me repeating it. I see it every day. I see it at the fire calls also. I see you out there every day walking up and down. Either you have a camera or you're taking measurements or you're taking a look at. Ms. Beekman, I hate trees coming down. As you know, you take a tree down, I like to have 2 put back in your place. So hopefully that issue will be resolved. As the bicycles, the green team back in 2020, we came out to do a called Easy Ride. We got stopped because of the virus, but now we're back on track. We are working with the state, getting bicycle routes planned. We're mapping them out right now. We have 3 teams that are out there. Diane is one of the members of the green team. So we are measuring bicycle routes, taking photos of the streets, taking photos of the sidewalk. We have particular routes that were laid out by a team member. We have the county that's supporting us. We have 2 assembling persons that are supporting our bicycle routes. Once we finish doing our bicycle audit, then we will submit that to the Easy Ride, which is a state. Then we will set up, they will come in and set up a program for us. And the way they explained it to us, we actually had a bicycle death a couple of years ago. There's multiple bicycle accidents throughout the county. And I understand the seriousness of not wearing a helmet, because when you go down the shopping center, they are doing wheelies off the curb in between cars, and that is dangerous. And I see it all the time. And it has to really be stopped, because one day we're going to see a death down there, you know. So, Kevin, I can't support safe bicycle routes at all. We are working on it. Hopefully we can put all that to bed. Mr. Jensen, we took care of your flags. We're going to get the other ones down. The particular bucket loader was broken, but discussing this issue with Mr. Tovo today, we're going to borrow a truck from Westwood and get the rest of them down. All right, but thank you for bringing that to my attention, you know. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman DeSena.
Thank you, Mrs. Feeney. Mrs. Pistono, we thought it was going to be on the agenda for tonight. I know we had a discussion last meeting about making the township have the same responsibilities as the resident to notify by certified mails. We have a lot of big projects coming up in town. I think it's very important that we adopt this, you know, change our ordinance, so we have to certify the people with the 200-foot list. You know, there's a lot of projects. We got a new DPW buildings. There's a lot of things, you know, there's a lot of things going on. We should make the neighbors aware of what's going on around them. Mr. Lemkin, the fees are excessive. You're not the first person to complain about this in the last 4 years I've been sitting on this dais. You know, something's got to be done. A lot of towns, I know in my past life, the DPW handled the curb opening permits. So there was no fee involved because they're working all day long. They would just, in their rounds, make a visual, have the plans in front of them and take care of it. Mrs. Beekman, I'm sorry. I hope that we didn't make the same mistake like we did with Mr. Jensen and tell you that they're our trees and they're your trees. So, Mr. Doyle, bike helmet safety is near and dear to my heart. I lost a childhood friend. He fell off his bike, banged his head, and he died 3 days later. He was fine for 3 days, and he died 3 days later. And, you know, head trauma is very near and dear to my heart. My wife spent 26 hours in the operating room having her epilepsy cured. It's not a good feeling when you don't know what somebody's going to come out with head trauma. I hope we can get these children, you know, Mrs. Morgan, I'd be more than happy to help you on your committee to get these kids to wear their helmets. I know in my house, like Mrs. Feeney said, no helmet, no bike. Even, you know, my little guy's even crazy when he sees other kids outside. He yells at them to tell them to put on their helmets. To our neighbors, we're like, wow, we got a little policeman here that tells us to put our helmets on, which is good.
I get the opposite. I get to see they're not wearing their helmet.
He yells at Dominic yells at them, tell them to put their helmet on. So, Mrs. Osmond, I agree with you with the important applications with hundreds of new homes coming into township. Both boards should be meeting in person so the public can be in this room with them, with the professionals. It's very important. We got to figure out a way to make this happen because it's going to be an issue. Mr. Pistono, I was looking at the original design of what I had. I think they did cut the cupola down from its original design. I think it was supposed to be taller. We got a shorter. Yeah, it is a shorter version. It's an abridged version of the cupola. It's a scaled down version of the cupola. I hope our site engineer is aware that Mrs. Beekman has a basement and we're not putting the water retention tanks right next to her basement, which are going to fill up with rainwater and go into her basement. So I hope we can look at that before we install them. If we could have Boswell look at that and make sure we're not going to flood Mrs. Beekman's basement after we install these water retention tanks. That's all I have, Mrs. Feeney.
Thanks. I actually had one other item I left off my list. Mr. Tovo, I was wondering, Mrs. Morgan and I wanted to meet with the building department to go over the ordinances to see if we could make some changes, because I actually met with a resident and spoke to them this past weekend that they're seniors in town and they also receive some very high fees, and they sent me copies of their bills. I was wondering if we could meet with the building department and go over the ordinances, myself, you, and Mrs. Morgan, in the building department, to see what we could do, maybe something for seniors, but also to see what we could do to rectify this as soon as possible before the end of the year.
Certainly, send me some dates when you're available.
Okay, I will, thank you. I think that not only with the policies, with the amount of times that engineers are being sent out from seeing from the rates, but the letters and the different fees that I've gotten, that's why I asked Mr. Lumpkin if he could give us copies of what he got. I had the same thing from 2 residents, and I'd like to meet with the building department, Mrs. Morgan, and we've discussed it to see what we could do about that and change some of the policies. And, if there's something we could do for people that are on fixed incomes too, I think that would be beneficial, because we have a lot of seniors in town, but they're still active and doing renovations to their homes. So if that's okay with you and the mayor. That'd be
Okay, with me.
Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Stacy, can I ask Mike to turn the air on for 5 minutes? It's getting warm down this end again.
It was.
Yeah, it was here too, but now it's getting warm. Thanks. Just 5 minutes. I need a fan. Thank you.
Art would be appalled right now.
Yes, Art would be appalled right now, I have to agree. He would absolutely be like, don't touch that third step. Never hear the end of it. Okay. We'll get you a little hat. You know, we should actually have like a remote control that you could have down there. Right. Okay, ordinances, adoption, second reading, none, rejection, first reading, nothing done. Resolutions and consent agenda. The following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Does anyone want to have any of the below 5 items removed?
Yes,
Okay.
I think that's Cassie asked for.
307 and 315.
Can we remove 314?
I actually want to have 307 removed also. Anybody want the other, are we doing any others or are we good? That's my asking.
Yeah.
Resolution number 21-316, authorize a refund of engineering escrow B3206 Lot 5, 600 Cross Street in the amount not to exceed $487.50. Resolution number 213-317, authorize refund of construction fees less DCA and plan review fees B2406 Lot 94, 348 Coolidge Avenue in the amount not to exceed $1,092. Motion to approve 2 consent agenda resolutions.
So move.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so resolution number 21-307, approval of corrective action plan for 2020 audit recommendations. I'll make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. Where's the action plan? All I see is they're going to work on an action plan. So I'm not gonna approve anything unless I see what that correction is to the audit.
I have the same question, and I'd like to have the auditor at the next meeting, please.
I thought we had asked the auditors to be here when we first got this, and they're still not here.
No,
Is there-
we didn't actually. I would like the auditor, if possible, at the next meeting to go over the action plan, or if they can give us.
We did ask for him to be
Well,
here.
if the auditor works for the council, you should reach out and set up a meeting for him to come.
Okay, did they give the administration or the CFO a date and when it's going to be completed?
This proposal here was approved by LVH.
Okay.
So if you want me to call them or you want to call them yourself to come in and explain it?
That's fine, I'll call.
Can we have the CFO here, Mr. Tovo, just so he can explain why we have to make these corrective actions while he's overseeing this?
I will check his schedule.
So I'm going to request that they're at the next meeting. If they're not at the next meeting, could you please let me know the Friday before the week of that meeting? So not the Friday before the meeting, but the week before that?
So would that be
Next Friday?
would that be the auditor and the CFO here at the same time?
Yeah.
And that would be for October 4th.
I think that's the next meeting, yeah.
Yeah, it's the next meeting. So that I'd like to know by
Next Friday.
This Friday?
29th, is that it?
It's Friday, yeah, next Friday.
You know what, I'll be very, how about the Monday, the 27th, if you could let us know if you could make it to the 4th, the meeting on the 4th.
Understood.
Thank you very much.
So you're asking to vote the CFO and the
Auditor.
That's just like we did previously.
On the 27th, to be notified to the council president on the 27th if they're going to be able to attend. If not, if they could give us if you could give them our meeting dates and let them know which date they could attend,
Okay, the other thing I have to tell you too is don't forget you have deadlines with the state to get this information down there.
which is November 1st, right?
Should have been last week, last meeting.
Can you call them, please, and let me know?
I've already given her a heads up that we were having an issue.
So I'd like to make a motion to remove this item and. have
So
it-
moved.
May I,
Second.
Table?
To
yeah, we're
table
gonna
it.
Table this, let's take roll call, please.
Sorry, who's second?
I did. Desiree did.
Mr.
It doesn't
I
care.
motion.
It doesn't matter. Desiree can have it. She can have this one.
I want
She
it.
can have a big X next to
I
her
think
name.
I motioned and Mike might have seconded.
I moved it, so.
I think I motioned and Mike seconded it, then we have a third and fourth.
It's fine. It's fine.
Alright,
See, yeah, just
you
table
ready?
it.
Yeah.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman DeSena?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Council President Feeney?
Yes. Okay, bill list. Who'd like to go first? Oh, right, sorry. Got my head. Just 1 second. Resolution number 21-314, authorized payment of bills August 19, 2021 through September 15, 2021. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Tovo, on page 1 of the bill list, Global Equipment Company, Salisbury Courier and Freight for DMF facilities, maintenance and repairs.
The drop box outside of the building.
Which
The
drop?
the blue
The
drop.
blue
box.
one?
Yeah.
That's been out here for 2 years. We're finally paying for it now?
Well, it hasn't been 2 years, and they lost the PO initially, and we finally had to cut them a new one, and now they're getting paid.
Wow, we have great vendors that could wait 2 years for their money.
Well, it was clearly on them.
Okay. And we're billing it to DMF facility maintenance and repairs for the tax, it's not going to the tax department?
It's not just for taxes, it's drop box for any items.
I know, but why is it being billed to DMF?
Because a DMF facility maintenance and repair covers all buildings.
Okay, all right. Why are we paying GLD Associates on page 2 for July 2021, two payments for the month of July?
They're not two payments for the same month, they're two different months.
Well, that's not what the list says. Mr.
They're two different months, I approved the bill myself.
What's that?
They're two different months, I approved the bill myself.
But this list, Mr. Tovo, says they're both for
And
July
they are
of
for two
2021.
different months.
All right, then this has to be corrected.
Okay,
I got a comment that I scrutinized the bill list, right? I got this bill list
Councilman,
on Friday.
do you have any more
No,
questions? Do you have
it's
any
my,
more-
I have
do you have
Robert's
any
rules.
more-
I am talking about the bill list.
Do you
I
have
get
any more
this bill
questions
list on
regarding the bill
Friday, right?
items on the list?
And I spend my time looking at it.
Councilman
You approved this
Councilman-
list. It's
Councilman-
Robert's rules. I am talking,
Councilman
Mrs.
DeSena.
Feeney. I am
Councilman
talking.
DeSena.
You cannot cut
Do
me
you have
off.
questions
Yes,
regarding
I
the bill
do.
list?
Mr. Bobo is telling
on
me,
the bill list.
yes, he's telling me this is for 2 months, Mrs. Feeney. What does it say?
He actually told you what he said to you.
But why is it
He
wrong
said-
on our list?
He told you it's for 2 months. Mr. Tobo, are you going to correct it?
No, he never does.
Mr. Tobo, are you going to correct it? If it's for 2 different months?
if you would like me to, I will.
Thank
But you'll
you.
never look at it again, so I don't see the point.
I agree.
But there is a point. It's for financial accounting. So when somebody looks
No,
at
the
this, it's
point
correct.
regarding this one will never be seen again by the council. That's my point.
Well, if you
When
discuss,
somebody
So
picks
really,
up
the
this
point-
document, Mr.
The
Tolo,
point
it
is
says we paid
to make sure we
GLD
don't
20.
do it twice.
What's that?
The point really here is that we don't do it again.
No, the point is you messed it up the first time and people don't understand
What
the bill.
I signed
Yeah,
off on was for
here's the
2
thing.
separate
Here's the thing.
months.
Okay,
But it's not 2 months. It says July, and July is 1 month to me.
Please call the meeting to order. There should not be
July
bickering.
is 2 months. No, Ms. Feeney, I'm going to talk, and that's all there is to it.
No,
If you can't handle putting down 4 letters, J-U-N-E,
Please be respectful.
and this go from J-U-L-Y, so anyone who picks up this can understand that it's 2 months, then you can't handle it.
Please be respectful.
I am respectful.
That is not.
So he needs to change it and make it accurate for the public and the council.
He did not say anything to the contrary that he would not. He did answer the question, yes or no.
No, he did not answer the question.
He did not answer the question.
No, he said he's going to leave it that way because it's too much work for him.
I did not say that.
That's exactly what you
That
said.
is not what I said.
Yes, it is, Mr.
See, I would
Tovo.
correct it if you like, but you'll never see it again. That's what I said.
I want to see it corrected. That's what I want.
And
Do
put
it
it back
right
on the
first
bill list.
time.
And then put it back on the bill list.
Put it back on the bill list, yes.
Yeah,
I request you to do
That
it.
makes sense.
Good.
Okay.
So does that mean we're removing it from the bill list? Is that check being held?
Page 3, Mr. Tovo.
I'm sorry, we weren't finished with that, please, Councilman DeSena.
Go ahead,
Thank you.
Mrs. Feeney.
Who has a
So we
question?
just, is that check being held then?
We're going to have both checks for a memo line that needs to be updated.
Yes,
Can we just hold one? Because obviously one is correct and one is incorrect.
I'm okay with that.
Very good suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
They're both on the same check, so it doesn't matter.
Well,
You guys
then it
look at
does
the
need-
list.
Then we're gonna hold up the payment again. And that's the request, and that's what you're doing, is you're holding the payment to the vendor because of the memo line. That's your request, then please make that known. Are you holding the check?
Yes,
to the
I'd like to hold the
Yes.
check up until it's corrected. Because like Judge Judy says, whatever the memo line says is what you're responsible for. And that memo line says we paid him 2 times for July 2021. So if we paid him July and August of 2021, I'd like the memo line to be accurate. Thank you.
Thank you.
On page 3, Seal Master Sport Surface Program, we're billing it to the 2020 road programs.
That is correct.
So
That
we
was for the
quoted, so what sport surface program did we do?
That was the painting of the courts at Gardner Field.
But why wasn't that included in the original bid when the court was resurfaced, that we had to wait 2 years to have a court that was built, had the posts up, no lines on it, all of a sudden we ask about it and we get a bill from somebody else? Why wasn't that included in the original design? Who designs a basketball court without lines on it? We do.
According to the engineer who worked on that project, there were never lines on that court before.
But Mr.
And if you
Tovo,
recall, can I finish?
go ahead.
If you recall, that entire project was underfunded. So therefore, there was never any money to do anything for that court. Once we saw the way the courts on Pascack came out, we decided to do the same there. So
But when did we ask the council to do this? We made an arbitrary decision to spend $5,952 of our taxpayers' money from a road program that is so underfunded that we just lost $6,000 for a road. I'm not saying the court, it could have got white lines put down by our DPW to put a foul line down, and anybody could have striped it, right? I mean, but we put a court surface in, right? For that 2 years later, after the courts were done. Those courts were done in 2019.
those courts were done in 2020. Okay.
The end of 2019, they were done. They put the polish.
No, they were done in 2020. All right.
All right. So a year and a half
The
later.
council asked that we stripe it. Rather than just simply stripe it, we thought we'd make it look as nice and consistent with our other new court. And lastly, our DPW couldn't stripe it. It's an undersized court. So it took special measurements in order to do it correctly.
There's plenty of people in this town that would have donated their surfaces and laid it out for you for free, Mr. Tovo.
I'm sorry, I don't know any of them.
It's a court, Mr. Tovo. It's 4 lines on the outside and some foul line, a center line.
Well, when you mentioned.
To spend $6,000.
When you mentioned it should be striped, why didn't you offer to do that then?
Because it should have been included in the specs, Mr. Tovo. Who designs a basketball court? Seriously, it's like buying a gun without a holster, right?
Whether it was
To put it in
the
your
spec or
terms, right?
not, it was underfunded. But the money wasn't there to pay for it. And that predates anybody here.
But how do you put out a bid for a project that doesn't have lines for a basketball court? You're building a basketball court. It's like buying a bike without a chain.
He just said he didn't. He said it was before anybody was here. If you-
No, I can answer that. It was not in the spec because the engineer who did the project said it was never striped before. That's his logic. That's what he said.
That's unacceptable.
Okay.
And then we take it out of the
That's your
road,
opinion.
but we take it out of the road program budget?
Why not? And listen, you asked for it to be striped. Everybody liked the way the courts came out at Memorial. Why not do this one right as well? And I would recommend next year we do Clark correctly as well.
Okay, moving on.
So I've asked you to find out when the council asked for that to be striked for the next meeting. So everybody can be aware when that conversation happened.
On page 15, this question is for Mr. Pollard. Mr. Wiss and Mr. Borgi are our labor attorneys.
Yeah.
We paid them $1,005 in reference to what?
Okay, so
Mr. Bosby?
he's talking, he is speaking, I don't believe he can comment on that at this time.
Yeah, wait, if you want, just take it off and we'll talk about it. Take it off if you want.
We can take it off?
Take it off for now.
Okay. So, Mr. Tovah, we hold that check?
Could you?
Is this for the new, is this for the new state mandate for police overtime, Mr. Pollard?
Take it off for now.
Take it off.
Take it off for now.
Okay. That's all I have, Mrs. Feeney.
Anybody else? Sue,
Councilman Capio.
it's gonna be minus those two payments, or three payments. Is it two checks, two?
Two checks.
GLD?
Like double check.
It was one check for
One
GLD.
check. Okay, so two checks.
Councilman Capio.
Yes.
Councilman DeSena.
No.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
Yes. Resolution number 21-315, authorize appointment of municipal stormwater coordinator Robert Togo effective October 1st, 2021. I'll make a motion. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah. We're gonna ask the township engineer to do this job.
Can I like to clarify on this resolution?
Sure, go ahead.
As most of you know, anything associated with stormwater generally requires a certification. However, in speaking to the engineer, this is the one thing that does not. You are merely the point of contact between the DEP and whichever department you're going to have to handle it, whether it be DPW or engineering. Speaking to our engineers in more detail, he felt it would be more appropriate that I do that. That way I can direct traffic as to where that complaint needs to go.
Is there
And
any,
it's also consistent with other towns that are doing the same thing now.
are you going to be receiving any additional money for this? Well,
No.
anybody else?
I'm going to vote no because it's a coordinator. Coordinators that have to have some type of experience coordinating a project. Mr. Togo has a lot of experience in other things. This is not one of them.
Are we required by law to have somebody in place?
Yes.
We are.
Okay, so Mr. Power, what's the impact if we don't appoint Mr. Togo by October 1st, 2021?
I'll have to look into it.
So, Mr. Tovo, you will be preparing the yearly statement to the DEP with all the planning board and the zoning board applications that met the
I'm merely the point of contact of the DEP. DEP has an issue in the township.
Correct, but this stormwater coordinator, part of their job is to prepare a yearly report that you're going to sign and
Correct.
seal as the stormwater coordinator.
Mhm.
That's going to say that all the best management practices were met for all zoning board projects and all planning board projects and every project that was constructed by our municipality for that fiscal year.
And to be very
You're willing
clear,
to do that?
and to be very clear, that report is prepared directly by our engineering firm and is merely submitted by the coordinator.
Has the
So the
engineering firm,
PE will have to sign off on that report.
has the engineering firm always prepared that report?
They have, yes.
That's why I'd ask that they be the stormwater coordinator.
Well, then again, they prefer not to be simply because if they get a call at 3 o'clock in the morning, they have to call me anyway to get approval to contact whomever. So skip the call.
And if they were to prepare the report and nobody else has a second set of eyes from the town would just be signed, the report would just be signed off and set off without eyes from the town. If the engineering firm were then
We see the report every year.
I know, but the thing
No,
is.
we see it as a council, we see it.
I understand, but if it's sent off, right, and there's no point of contact in the town administration to review it and to sign off on it before it gets to us, because it's doesn't get to us and then it's sent off, it's just sent off and then we get the report.
No, we see it before, we have to approve it before it gets done.
I don't see harm in having someone in the administration be responsible for it. That's dealing with these issues. I mean, unless I'm mistaken, but having someone in the administration review it or an employee review it instead of just the outside firm, I don't understand.
I wouldn't mind an employee reviewing it, but I want someone who's certified to review it.
But there's no certification for it.
The certification is for the person preparing the report, correct?
They have to be
Okay, so
yeah.
he's not actually preparing
He's,
the
he's,
report.
I-
send me a
I-
radiology report. I'm not a radiologist, okay? Don't have any training in it. It's a nice report. Let me sign off on it.
But if there's
That
no
doesn't do any,
certification-
that doesn't do you any good.
But there's no certification.
That doesn't do you any good.
So who should be responsible since there's no certification
The
for
person
that?
the person who has experience and certification in an area.
But
That's
if
what should
there
do.
is no certification in that area for this, what we're saying this is appointment
Okay.
for,
Take a
how
vote.
do you?
Take a vote.
I
I'll call a roll for this
I will-
resolution.
No, I have a few more questions, not done with discussion.
I already asked for a vote. I asked for a
So
roll
if
call.
We're not,
I asked for a
if
roll
there's
call.
no
Sue, if I ask for a roll call, you have to give it, Sue.
we're still having discussion.
Don't put me in the middle of this.
We're still-
Okay? Well, you have to
If
learn
there's
the Robert's
no
rules.
certification, I'll get you a copy too.
I have plenty of copies.
So if there's no certification, Mr. Topo, then the only certification behind this is an engineer, correct?
The report must be prepared by a PE. That is a requirement.
I'm gonna vote no because I think Mr. Tobo has a lot on his plate, and to add this to his plate, just gonna give him way too much to do. Another responsibility, he has way too much going on between the firehouse liaison and everything else he does with the DPW and the police and fire and everybody else. It's just way too much for him to do.
That might be better logic.
What's that?
So
I said that would be better logic.
That's my logic, yeah.
No, I don't disagree with
So
you.
you're judging, you know his workload.
I know his work. He told us his workload. He didn't have time to go to the firehouse every day. That's what he told us. He was too busy to go to the firehouse every day. That was his own statement, Mr. Mayor. So
That
yes,
is
I
not
do know his
that
workload.
statement was never made.
Yes, it was.
No, it was not. As a matter of fact, if you speak to the architect on the project, he himself didn't feel a visit every day was required for this project simply because of where it is. You have 50 volunteers there on a regular basis seeing this project. So please don't put words in my mouth.
I'm
I
not
never
gonna do
said
it,
that.
I'll bring you the video
Please do.
anytime. So
Okay, I'm asking, bring it.
it's on YouTube. I'll bring it to you. I'll send it to you tomorrow morning.
Mr. Sears,
Wait a second, Stacey.
Yeah.
Mr. Tovo, this is something you feel that you can do without impacts to your workload, correct?
The call's going to come to me at some point anyway. So it doesn't matter if it comes first or comes third.
Mr. Jumper, could you clarify that when you said, so can you tell us if there is, what happens from the inception of the stormwater issue to the execution of you getting the call? So what happens?
Well, quite simply, well, whether it be any kind of stormwater issue, DPS make contact with the township and every other municipality. And that person, it can be a DPW coordinator, it is sometimes a engineer, and now the trend, according to our engineer, is more going towards administrators taking the role. So when that call comes, it can be immediately directed to the right department.
Okay.
That's simple.
So it's basically a conduit to get it to where it needs to go.
Correct.
Okay, we could take a straw. That
Yeah.
makes sense to me, and we're not paying anything, so it makes sense for me.
Anybody else have any other questions?
No.
Okay, has Councilman Cassio requested to roll call?
Councilman Cassio.
No.
Councilman DeSantis.
No.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
Yes. Adjournment to conference agenda. I'll make a motion. May I have a second, please?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we want a 5-minute break?
Yes.
Okay, 5-minute break. Let me just hold up 1 second.
Thank you.
Do they need a nurse? Yeah, I'm gonna dress up like a princess. And be a nurse. You know what, here, hold on, I got it. Yes, thank you. Okay, current business, so we only have one item tonight. It is from the mayor, the 2021 salary ordinance, which everybody received a copy in their packet.
Thank you, Stacy. As everyone is aware, the salary ordinance did not pass at the last meeting. However, I don't know what to change in it. No one gave me any comments as to what to change to get it to pass. So I would just ask that the council president would poll everyone to see what the issues were, to give us some guidance and direction as to what changes we need to make to get it to pass.
Okay, Councilman Casio?
Usually, at least my one item with Department of Law. I'll just leave it at that. There's a few other ones, but that would be the main one for me.
Do you have a specific recommendation on that?
Oh, Stacy.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
it's every time, we know what it
Every
is.
time he says,
So,
he just doesn't
I
want,
know.
he doesn't want to get paid for extra work. Simple as that.
It's that simple.
It's that simple. and
That's
I'm
that
not- I'm
simple.
not gonna vote for
I
it.
have to ask the question.
Yeah. Here's the deal. I'm gonna cut right to the chase. You have 3 votes that want to pass it.
Well, you don't make that assumption. You
I'm
don't
gonna make that assumption. Usually that's what happens. Okay? So and Ken, again, it's nothing personal. I appreciate your opinions and all that stuff, but you know how I read the ordinance. And I know how you interpret it, and we'll leave it at that as facts. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Councilman DeSena?
I have the same issue with the Department of Law, the additional billing. I also have an issue with the building department.
Do you have any specific recommendations?
Yes, I'd like the extra above and beyond removed from Department of Law, and I'd like to make sure that the building department is self-funded, which I asked for during the budget hearing, and I was told it was not.
Councilman Sears?
No, I'm fine with it.
Vice President Morgan?
I have no issue.
The only issue I have with is that, there's some conflicting ideas going on about the building department, is that the fees are too high and then the building department should be self-funded. So it's kind of like, there's no specific recommendations. I know that Vice President Morgan and I are going to meet with Mr. Tobo in the building department to work that out, but again, there are some conflicts. I don't have any issues. I think Mr. Power should be paid for exactly what's in the ordinance, which I interpret it to be that the extra work that it does, she should be compensated for as other towns do. This is not a Washington Township issue. This is how the other towns in Bergen County transact business with the Department of Law.
So,
Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments based on the comments from the council?
Yeah, the only comment I would make, and again, none of this is personal, it's business. We held up a salary ordinance for a lot of hardworking people who deserve their raises for 2 positions. To me, that shows, a lack of any type of compromise or anything like that. It's either has to be the whole ordinance my way. I won't vote for it if there's 1 or 2 things in it I don't like. But that's just me, again, all business, nothing personal.
Okay, so in order to get the salary ordinance passed, that we are going to have to reintroduce the salary ordinance. So this is going to be introduction, first reading, ordinance number 21-15, an ordinance under the chapter 87 of the Code of the Township of Washington, setting forth the rate of compensation and manner of payment of employees for the year 2021. I'm making a motion to introduce and pass ordinance number 21-15 at first reading by title. I'll make a motion. May I have a second, please?
Did you do that in closed, Ken?
We're not in closed. We're in public.
Everyone left it.
That's not right.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Yeah, meanwhile, did I miss something when I went out?
So we got to cut out over there or someone, so we.
There you go.
I apologize.
So I'm going to ask for roll call regarding this, please.
Councilman Casio?
This is to introduce?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman DeSena?
yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Council President Feeney?
Yes. Resolution number 21-318, authorizing publication of ordinance number 21-15 and schedule a public hearing. I'll make a motion. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Roll call, Sue? That's okay.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman DeSena?
No.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Council President Feeney?
Yes. Okay, and that's all we have. Motion to adjourn meeting?
Stacy, may I just ask one quick question having to do with this?
Okay.
Sue, is there enough time between this first reading and for us to put it on the next meeting?
Yes, if I get it in the newspaper tomorrow, it'll be advertised on Friday, and we'll have 10 days.
Okay.
So we're good.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Thank you.